All right. It says I'm live. I'm just waiting to so I can see it pop up on YouTube. It is the third Monday of the month, which means it is time for my show again. I know probably got one or two people watching right now. I see that Stu for lunch got up at 1:00, 1:30 in the morning to type it Happy Monday so he could be the first comment. So thank you, Stu, for your dedication. I appreciate that. Well, this is episode 8 of Hey Canon Live presents. Uh, had so far this has been a really great experience. I've had eight episodes so far. Each one, love my guests come on, and this week, without further ado, I know everybody's again. I'll catch a lot of you on the replay. A lot of you guys were tired. You went up to the I'm going to call it Ninja Con because YouTuber Con it's Ninja Con. But a lot of you guys were there, and a lot of the shows tonight and over the weekend have been everybody reminiscing about it. So they'll probably be talking about it all this week. But I did get to go, so so I haven't anything to share on that. So, but what I would do is I'm going to bring in my guest. Again, you know him, you love him. The Shills hate this guy because he doesn't mind calling them out. It's Robert from Robert's Infinite Realms. Robert, welcome to the show.
What? Shills don't like me?
No,
That's
man.
the first time hearing.
Well, sorry to bust your bubble, but hashtag do better. I think that's
How you doing,
what we've been doing. That's doing good, man. It's good to have you. Like I said, we're in the comments a lot and stuff talking, and I think one night when everybody was out of town doing stuff, I snuck in and did a impromptu live and threw the link in there, and you popped on, and we had a good time for a little bit. I said, well, that's somebody that Robert, you're somebody that I've been wanting a while to talk to. I watch your channel all the time, and hey, Stu came back. Stu
back.
Stu got some rest, and he came back to be on. I love your channel. I especially love the AJ and Hordak stuff. It's, so I'm not. So I stopped watching wrestling at the start of the Attitude Era. So modern wrestling. So I don't know. Is that a figure called based on a person called AJ, or did you just name it that?
AJ Styles? It is one of the very few modern wrestlers I like, and he's actually kind of a carryover from WCW days. He actually was in the very end of WCW, and then he moved on to TNA, and he was there for a long time. Went to Japan for a while.
Okay.
He's just one of those guys that was fun. He had a fun career to follow, even though I wasn't as into wrestling. I was following him still. And then he finally showed up in WWF or WWE. I want to say 10 years ago, and he's probably going to wrap it up in WWE.
Okay. So what was it about? Was it the person or just the figure, or about, I can kind of understand
I'm a
using I can understand using the Hordak as a voice.
Yeah.
But that team up, where did that come from?
Yeah, I'm just a big AJ Styles fan. I loved his entrance into the WWF at Survivor Series. He just walks out, and he has this tendency to put a hoodie down, and then he just lifts it off his head, and it was like, oh, holy crap, AJ's here. It was a great entrance, and he said he was nervous about it because never been in the WWE and didn't know if anybody would know him, and everybody knew who he was.
Okay,
so it was kind of cool.
But what made you think, that this, I have this guy in Hordak, and I'm going to have them do a commentary on, whatever the news of the day is in the toy industry.
It was mostly just I needed somebody to bounce. I needed somebody to kind of be my voice.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, I need somebody who's kind of normal and doesn't look too offsetting, and to bounce off a Hordak. And I was just kind of looking through my figures going, who. I got to AJ, and I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Okay.
So
So,
that's
you just
that's
kind of
kind of what.
you kind of need the Bud Abbott to your Lou Costello, the straight man for your.
Right.
You know? So does it take you? So is it a little bit? Does it take a little bit more? I'd imagine with editing and stuff like that, it take a little bit longer to do those videos than just, um, something like the quick review today or some of the toy apocalypse stuff.
Yeah. I try to have a stock of photos for them
Okay.
or stills for them, and then I just bounce off that. But sometimes I'm getting bored. I'm like going, I just use that shot. I just and then
Yeah.
I'll get a bunch more, and so I try to keep the library going. And then it's every now and again I add a couple of other guys. Like I have my cat in there. He's one of those
Yeah.
Animal Warrior of the Kingdom
Okay.
figures, and God, he's the sweetest but dumbest cat you've ever met. So he's like, talks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I bring him in once in a while and just throw a menagerie of characters in there.
Like I said, so I mean, so what I do like that keeps like the whole your content, it gives you some variety of content,
Yeah.
when you do stuff. So it's kind of in the humor. I like the humor aspect. I mean, your content has a vein of humor that runs through it anyway. Even when you're ripping, when you're ranting about something too, but it's just more focused with the AJ and Hordak stuff, and I tend to like that. So
Yeah, my thing about AJ and Hordak is the ultimate shill, and AJ is not.
okay,
That's the rules.
yeah, I'll be,
But
yeah,
but every now
right,
and again, even Hordak has to go. Yeah, that was bad.
yeah. So he's in full denial mode as a shill though. So
Yeah.
it's but speaking of shills, listen, I've never okay. You're kind of famous or infamous, however you look at it, for the ability to leave a well thought out, salient comment on something that for some reason makes like the shills heads explode. I mean, I've seen people rant or yell and call them names, but for some reason, a very well reasoned argument seems to drive these folks nuts. Because I've seen you put you put it up on Instagram and also in your videos too about some of the responses you get to. Do you ever think that like that would people would respond that way to or did you think that I'm just trying to be honest and logical about
Oh,
this thing and
I knew people would respond that way. I was just like, I was waiting for it, and sometimes I'm get very surprised when they don't respond that way. I'm like going, did I hit the nail on the head too well off of that one?
well it's even the folks that like you get them several times and like, you should know by now you got the receipts before before you go in there, but they just seem to just have meltdowns over again, like I said, I think that they're well reasoned arguments or stuff like that. What do you think it is about that? Is it you're just hitting the nerve, or is it like they kind of know you're right, but you know pride or something gets in the way, or
That's a good one. Sometimes I think that you're right. It's like, yeah, you're right. Damn it, and they're mad. And a lot of people. Me and Chad have joked about this a lot, but it's like people, you know, they let their feelings override their logic,
yeah,
and it's like, no, I feel this way. I love Marvel, and I have to love everything Marvel, or I love GI Joe, and I have to love everything GI Joe, and it's like, no, you don't. You know,
yeah,
I forget who I was talking to, but it'll probably come to me tomorrow. I was talking about there was a comment about, oh, back when we were kids, we just accepted stuff and we're happy. And I was like, no, we weren't. We used to go off about stuff all the time. I can remember kids in the third year of GI Joe going off about Blowtorch being yellow. I mean, it's various stuff, but I mean, There's a reason some toy lines didn't last years because we all thought they were done.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at the time Visionaries came out, I didn't know many kids who liked Visionaries.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of them were kind of looking at this going, okay, it's just little holograms. So what? You know, now there's a lot of people who go, oh God, Visionaries, it's so great. I'm like, well, if you think so, I mean, I remember it not being so great.
Well, I don't think a lot of people remember too that the a lot of these toys, yeah, even from like the big guys like Hasbro and stuff like that at the time, which this GI Joe made Hasbro a monster.
Yeah.
Even Transformers was big, but the shelves in the Kmart and the Pick and Save and the the stores that exist, the Zayres and the stores that existed, pre Walmart and then the Walmart, that toy aisle was mostly GI Joe, and everything else just fought for space. So there wasn't a wide distribution of these nostalgic toy lines, and even with the advent of the television cartoons as commercials, they didn't last long. So that's why I kind of get I kind of roll my eyes when people are always telling folks like Bobby Val is like, you should go get this property. It's like, well, it only lasted a season and it didn't sell. That's why like even like Mask was like, I did not see that a lot growing up on the shelves.
The problem with Mask was that this is my memory of Mask. The problem was it was like G.I. Joe prices at much smaller because of the engineering.
Yeah.
And a kid didn't understand that. Yeah, you may like the show and you may like the toys, but you're only going to get a few of them because of the price. Because as I remember, the Thunderhawk was equal price to the Vamp when it came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, what's mom going to buy? The Vamp.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact allegory for that year, but
well, and plus if your parents already invested so much money in Star Wars and GI Joe,
yeah,
were you going to like a toy that if they thought this way, and I know a lot of kids thought this way, is like it's not the right size, it doesn't fit in with if I could cram Destro into the Thunderhawk, that would be something.
I mean, my thought process of it at the time was it's a nifty concept. I love the cartoon. That price, if I can get a G.I. Joe vehicle for the same price as a Mask toy, I'm going to get the G.I. Joe vehicle.
Well, I tell people all the time too, this is the brilliance behind G.I. Joe, is that everything worked together, from mini vehicles to play sets to small vehicles to figures. And it was at price points that if you walked into that store with $5 or $50, you could buy something and take it home to your collection, and it all fit together.
Yeah. And I mean, Mask had that too. I had the smallest vehicles, the Piranha and the Condor. I still have them somewhere. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I bought them just to try out the line, and I was like, yeah, these are cool, but I'm not going to collect the rest of them. I don't think so. And I never really got that deep into it. I mean, I remember wanting Boulder Hill just because I thought that was just so damn cool. I thought that was just cool. But then I remember the price tag going, no, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was pretty steep even in those days.
Yeah. I was firmly in the G.I. Joe and Star Wars crowd, and
that was everything. I had so much invested in Star Wars. I was like, I mean, not in G.I. Joe, because Star Wars had really kind of ended by then.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to stick with G.I. Joe, and I'm not going to worry about that. And, I didn't get very deep into Transformers for similar reasons. It was just, costs.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, too, where I live, they didn't have the presence on the shelf that everything else had. It was like G.I. Joe and the knockoff G.I. Joes.
Right.
That was competing. And the Transformers had small shelf space in there.
I vividly remember when the Walmart where I live opened up, they had almost an entire aisle, one half of the aisle devoted just to GI Joe and knockoff GI Joe. It was like, 3/4 of it was GI Joe, and you just every figure you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then knockoff GI Joe, and then it was like, the other side of the aisle was like, okay, there's some Transformers over here. It was a significant amount, but not nearly that large.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what else. It might have been He-Man was still going at that point. And I can't remember what else. But I mean, the one that stuck out to me was G.I. Joe, because that's what I was really into. Probably Master. Yeah.
Well, and to go back to something that you're saying too, is not every part of G.I. Joe was a winner too.
True enough.
And that's I think that's like these folks that are are hooked into the nostalgia part of it. Like I grew up with the O-ring figures, but I liked I remember I was at the 2004 G.I. Joe convention there in Orlando when Daryl DePriest stood up, and and this was during the Valor versus Venom line, and they were gearing up for the 25th anniversary, and he started talking about it. So we got a new way to manufacture these things to give them a lot more articulation and playability. We've got this new manufacturing, and we're getting so the O-rings are going away, and those figures were amazing. So, and that's all whatever little bit I have of Joe's left out it's that 4-inch line, the newer ones they came out with.
Anniversary, I mean, it had some stumbles in the beginning, but I mean, once it got its stride, it was awesome.
And I thought too that a lot of it was great, because they kept introducing new characters, and not just, I mean, granted, there's like, if you go to yojo.com, there's like 800 3¾ inch Snake Eyes versions, Cobra Commander and Duke and all that stuff. So for every Snake Eyes, Duke, and Cobra Commander they rehashed, you got several new characters that kind of move things forward.
My one encounter with Daryl DePriest, and if I ever run into him again, I'm going to apologize. I yelled at him because it was like every year they would reboot, and it would be like another Duke, Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow. And I was just like, stop it.
Yeah. Which
I think he tried to explain to me, it's like, this is what the company requires, but he didn't explain it that eloquently.
Yeah.
And if I ever run into him again, because I'm just gonna say, look, I'm sorry, I understand the dilemma. I was just trying to communicate to you. This ain't working, dude.
But I said, even so, they like kept advancing the line, and I mean they would remix some stuff and re-release some old stuff, and but it was about pushing forward, and now it just seems we're stuck in this this reverse, backwards looking thing.
I mean, and look at everything, man. I mean, I'm gonna, Michael French, I think, has some of the best quotes about culture sometimes, and he said we've lost our curiosity. I was thinking about this, and I'm like, yeah, we have.
Yeah,
because it's like, for example, I always say, step out of your comfort zone for a second and look at it from a different perspective. Like music. Used to be, I could talk about music like for hours. And you talk about a song, I was like, what do you like about it? Oh, the rhythm, the beats, the lyrics. And like today, you talk about a song, and like say this, and I hear this all the time. I've never heard of that one. I don't know anything about it. I'm like, could you take a minute to listen? I mean, because usually by the end of the first lyric and the chorus, if you like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a minute out of your day. You discover something new. If you like it, great. If you don't, you can talk about why. I mean, could make for an interesting conversation. But instead, I just hit a stone. Sometimes with people, I hit a stone wall, and it's like, no, I don't know that. Not going to learn it.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens. I mean, look at where we're at. It's like a constant barrage of the same shit. I mean, they're trying to figure out now how to make Marvel and DC profitable again,
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that so there's a term I learned a long time ago. In a past life, I did quality assurance work where it's all that stuff. And there was a term called cargo cult. And it was based on this thing that supposedly happened. It was, in World War II, we went over into the Pacific and set up bases on islands where people had never really had any contact with outsiders. So suddenly they see all these people come in and they're bringing these big metal airplanes. They set things up, and what we would do is we wouldn't try to kill the folks. We'd like give them supplies and have them help build and stuff like that. And then when the war is over, we left all that stuff, the airfields, all that. So supposedly what happened, some of these tribes began to like kept the runways repaired and would like rebuild towers when they'd fall down. And they were kind of like doing these things because they thought this is how the supplies came. If we just keep doing this, like aping what we saw before, not understanding why that happened. And so in the quality assurance world, what that is that it's when somebody does something because we've always done it this way and they don't understand why something works. Just that, we keep doing it over and over again. And I think that's kind of because they've lost innovation takes risk. You've got to, be the first person to say, hey, let's try and I, as a G.I. Joe nerd, I'm sure I don't know this, but whoever was that walked to that meeting one day and said, hey, G.I. Joe needs to be 3 3/4 inches instead of, 12 inches.
Right.
We want this, we want to revive this.
Actually,
it has to be this one. And, that's, the person. And of course, we know that corporations don't like to do that because they're afraid of not making as much profit. And I tell folks all the time that profit projections are just guesses, and so but if you don't make your projected profit, it doesn't mean they didn't make a profit. They just didn't make as much as they thought they were going to make, and then people freak out. So you kind of get scared, and so they think that hey, every time we need some money, we just go back to the G.I. Joe well. And we'll just, pull it out again instead of doing something innovative or it. And they said they try to do it with the first line of classifieds, which is why they use the Nerf guns, as a way to.
And you see, I argue that all the time because I'm like, okay, you tried to do something different, except it sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad on every level. I mean, that hair straightener that Roadblock had.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. I can't look at that in any context and think that's a cool gun. I think it looks like a hair straightener, and I'm like, no. And when I saw them, I was like, those don't work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I passed on them. I bought a few of the regular ones that are my faves, but again, I have always said that I think G.I. Joe in 6-inch is a nice novelty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not where G.I. Joe lives.
Yeah.
Especially not Real American Hero.
Well, I think if they wanted to, if they were planting their flag on the 6-inch hill, which they've done, then I would say like I like the retro carded line because I don't like they're starting to like the the new cover girl, which I like that one because the head.
And that's fairly,
but that's pulled out of the cartoon
too.
That's pulled out of the cartoon, but they could have done the retro line could have just been 6-inch plus ups of, the old figures to hit that nostalgia button. And if they wanted to do a 6-inch line like they do now with the box line, focus on the post Valor versus Venom characters they've created.
Yeah.
To move it forward and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But now we're getting retro figures in this box line, it's just.
No, I agree. I mean, do something different, tell a new story. I mean, it's like, that's why I like Action Force because it tells a new story.
Oh yeah, and
and it's interesting. I mean, it's a very interesting story.
Yeah, it's 6-inch military, but it's a fresh take,
right,
on it. I mean, it's and he takes some swings with a few things. And I'm actually liking now the line is getting to the point where he's introducing some characters I really don't care to get. That's because it's going to save me money in the long run. But there's just some characters that aren't resonating with me, which tells me that he's expanding and he's trying something different.
And I'm liking the expansion overall. I mean, it's cool. But at the same time, I mean. Right now, the story's being carried by the file cards. I wish you would do, like more comics or something.
Yeah.
To kind of get us more story in that universe because you know, some of the haters like to say, "Oh, he's just copying GI Joe," and it's like, well, okay, on the most basic level, military force versus a ruthless organization trying to rule the world. Okay, yeah, but that's a very basic idea too.
Yeah. Well,
You know, I mean, if you take, and that's the thing when you argue with these people, the first thing you find out very quickly, they don't know the lore.
yeah.
You know, they don't know what a swarm trooper is, other than he looks like a swarm trooper. You know,
Yeah.
so
Or
I
they
mean,
don't. Well, even when it comes to GI Joe, a lot of these folks is slowly dividing. And I've said this before: is dividing into two camps of those who were brought up on the comic book and those that were brought up on the cartoon.
oh, that's all. There's always been a little bit of a division there, yeah. Um, I mean, I was more into the cartoon than the comic. I know I'm an
Yeah.
aberration,
Yeah.
but
Well, all right. Let me
you
end
know,
this
at the same
now.
time,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, at the same time, I was
Yeah.
already reading comics.
Yeah.
So when I went into GI Joe, I was like, well, this is just Nick Fury Nick Fury, Agent of Shield versus Hydra.
Yeah.
I know this already.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost interest, and then I went in another time, and I remember it was a Dreadnoks, and I was looking at it going, this is the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
And then there was a third time. The big one was when they revealed Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes' origin. And I'm reading it going, this is Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, except they reversed the roles.
Yeah.
And if you've ever read Shang-Chi's origin, it really is.
Well, it's Hama. He was in the comics industry, and these guys are
Right.
all sitting around. And then, of course, again, nobody has the copyright on good versus evil stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's a universal story, and that's why it works.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's still a good story. It's just, you know, I do tend to point that out to some people who act like it's the most original thing. It's like, I'm not trying to knock it. I'm just saying it ain't.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I saw a lot of people get hate, and I had a lot of criticisms about the 6-inch line, mainly the lack of quality control.
Oh, yeah.
That was stuff, and how people would just pass over that and just pretend it didn't exist, or, well, it's just part of it. And it's like, at the scale they do, at the scale figures they're doing, the amount they're doing, if you see figures come out with the same problem consistently, then that's an issue. I can if somebody says, hey, I got this one and the arm was broken on it, and I don't hear anybody else having that problem, then it's like, it wasn't a quality control issue. You just got, unfortunately, a bad one. But when the arm was falling off every single figure they did of that figure, wasn't
that Cover Girl?
Cover Girl had that. Cover Girl had that.
Articulated Ninja actually edit that, like everybody, and like he literally had every toy YouTuber, and it was like every one of them had an issue with the
The Cover Girl had that issue. The boxed Crimson Guardsman had that issue.
Really?
Yeah, and there was something else, and there was another figure that had it too, and I was just like, come on, it's like, because I would go get the figure, I'd hear about it, and I'd go get the figure, and like, well, mine's this way too. It's like, and then you get something like, and again, I know things happen at companies. I mean, this is not perfect, but it's always been Hasbro's response when a problem comes up that's telling. And I tell folks all the time, we were out to dinner with me and my family and our kids, and the service was horrible. I mean, it took forever. And at the end of the night, the manager comes up, and I told her, okay, this is what happened. This is what's wrong. And so she goes this whole story about, oh, I'm so sorry. We had a cook that didn't show up, and somebody left, and all this stuff. And I told my kids, I was like, customers don't care why it happened. We just want to know what you're going to do to fix it. That's what we want to know. And for them to gaslight and pretend nothing's wrong, and then offer you a replacement of equal or lesser equal value. So you send your broken GI Joe in that you wanted and been waiting for, and it's been on pre-order, and then they send you the Optimus Prime that didn't sell a lot of, because all they see is a value exchange, and not the character. And again, that's another thing why I like Valverse is that as soon as there's an issue known, even sometimes before the public knows about the issue, he gets ahead of it and tells you, this is what I'm going to do to fix this problem. The problem exists. This is how I'm going to fix it. And I tell folks that goes a long way. And that's, with these companies that, want my hard-earned money, that's the.
Speaking of, since we're talking about Valverse,
yeah,
$27.99.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's.
And Chris Cox is talking about raising prices again.
That I truly one day, if I keep doing this show, is I'm going to have Bobby here, because this is what the product was, not what drew me to Valverse. It was his story and then how he runs that business.
Yeah,
that attracted me. It's like, it's like we all sit there, we all get jobs and we go, shoot, if I was in charge, I would do something different. But very few of us actually, do something like do something about it. And he did, and I admire that. So he understands that risk, and the courage to stand on that. And that's what attracted me to this product. So even and what that does is the way he handles things, it builds up enough trust with the consumer. And I tell folks all the time, trust is like money. You can build a bank of trust up, so at the times where something bad happens, where if he came back next year and says, listen, prices of material has gone up. I've got to go back up another $2 on the figure.
You do that, Bobby. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, because we trust you, because we've now seen 2 or 3 times now where when he had the ability to lower the price when you don't have to, when all current corporate knowledge is you don't lower your price, you either keep it where it's at or raise it so you can make more on it.
And on top of that, I mean, you have Hasbro. The rumor is they're going to go up to 30.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I think if you watch the Gamerverse ones, I mean, a lot of them, those 2-packs shouldn't be 60. They should be 50. No. So I think we're already seeing it kind of, that's the way they do it. They just creep it in there.
I foresee the single carded figures going away. And
I mean,
2-packs and 3-packs or what are they going? So that way they can do the blatant reuse of a figure. And
they can have a hostage pack, Jersey Maniac copyright 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm like, so when they did that, the Capcom stuff, now, like I said, I noticed a lot of that. And then there's like I'm a big War Machine fan, so I try to collect all the War Machine figures, and I saw that one. It's like, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to get it just for that War Machine that's the exact same that I've gotten 3 times before, just with a different rocket launcher on his back, just so I have the variant. Said, but I might get it because I don't have an Omega Red, and I like Omega Red, even though so they'll give you there. Then the big hostage pack that dropped today was the Iron Man and Mandarin.
I'm so
2-pack
steaming on that one. I am. I'm upset.
See, now for me, I don't mind the suited Mandarin, but to me that looks like, I didn't get a good look at it, but it still looks like the same lab coat suit combo they did for like Egghead and a couple others with that. Just a new
I
head
didn't notice that, but I did notice there's new tooling, which I'm sitting here going, why? I mean, nobody asked for a Mandarin in the suit. I mean, there are 1,000 different looks he has that you could get away with. I mean, I know that Disney and Hasbro are very averse to stereotype clothing, so you're not the robe. I can see not happening. That I don't have much issue with that.
No, but yet they'll still do the Silver Samurai, and they'll do that.
Silver Samurai rocks, though.
Yeah, that's an X-Men, so he's not like legally he's not a human being.
Yeah, and I can get not doing some things with Mandarin, but honestly, they had some potential. I mean, the other thing is he only has the rings on one set of hands. It's his fist.
Yeah. Then I saw that one. It's like when it first got posted, I was like, okay, cool. It's like the extremist armor Iron Man. Okay, I knew they were going to do something like that, where it's they're going to give us a completely same figure again. And then the Mandarin, I was like, okay, well, okay, that's cool. But then as I started looking at it, and then the report, like I watched your video on it, and Jersey Maniacs Instagram
I
on it.
watched Jersey's Instagram right before I did my video too, and I'm like, damn it, I'm saying the same things as Jersey because we're on the same wavelength on this.
It's like, so you give him multiple hands, and like in every comic I've seen him see the Mandarin, when he goes to employ the rings, he's usually doing the open hand, that kind of thing with it. And those are the hands that don't have the rings on it. He just got the fists, with it. And they didn't even include any cool effects, for the hand. So they give something that people have been asking for. It's almost like they hate us. Like, well, finally, you've been whining, you've been wanting this, we're finally going to give it to you, but we're going to give it to you on our terms, type of
and I know
type of deal. And you will buy it because you've been wanting this for so long, and we may never make another Mandarin again.
Right. Yeah, because I know Dave's display model behavior and his leak lists have been pretty damn accurate, with some minor stuff, and obviously that got changed last minute. But his has been really good, and like he kept saying Mandarin. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, Mandarin? Really? I believe it when I see it. That was the one I was like taking with a grain of salt, and then I saw it today, and I went, you asshats.
Well, and then later on they're going to take that same figure either as the Mandarin or something else and put him in a white and paint the suit white.
Yeah, and I mean, Jersey said this, and I almost said it in my video, but then I was like, oh man, I'm repeating Jersey Maniac again. But like, suit characters are boring.
Yeah.
I have Hammerhead, Tombstone, and the Rose, and I'm like, yeah, I have them because, I want those characters, but at the same time, I look at them going, yeah, these are boring.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They're just boring.
That's why we, I hear a lot of people are once in a while, especially the X-Men fans, they want a Henry Peter Gyrich or a, or something like that. It's like just a guy in a suit with a flat top. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, if that figure ever came out, I would be like, no.
I mean, if you ever do you could do a Cameron Hodge, but the head has to be able to pop off and slap onto his flanks body.
Exactly.
That's what you need, for. So, and it says it's the little things like that. Like I said, it seems like Hasbro's mantra is, we're going to keep giving you crap to eat, and if you eat enough of it, we may give you a bite of steak every once in a while.
Me, I'm like, let's go to Ollie's.
Yeah. So, and it's like, and that's kind of, to the slap is that Iron Man is always the draw character, which is why they try to put him in every wave. But they knew that the Mandarin was the one everybody wanted, so they felt comfortable putting a reused figure.
Yeah, I think the only thing, the mid torso is the only thing that's different now.
Yeah, well, I know you didn't care for the Tony head in it, but I kind of like that Tony head.
I know. I made a joke that it was a condom head,
because we haven't seen that before, and it's kind of harkens back to some earlier stuff. But there's so many, like, out of all the armors too, like the a lot of they haven't done any of the Hydra armors from his early or the space armors, and that they pretty much done a lot up to the first 13, and then they've hit all of his major armors except for the newer ones in the comics right now. But
right,
which makes me shudder though. Like I said, I joke, like the Maximum line is not going away because they figured they can make a lot, get people to pay $50 plus for one figure.
I have yet to buy a Maximum figure.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I shudder to see when they do Iron Man. And my thing is probably just going to be another Silver Centurion with more hands instead of at least give us the rocket pack like the Toy Biz one had, or something like, or do the Hydra armor, or the space armor or something like that. But
well, it's looking like Deadpool and then Thor, and I'm really curious what they're going to do with Thor because I got a feeling that Thor is going to disappoint more than anything.
Yeah, Thor just kind of he hasn't gone through a lot of changes, in the comics, to update the his look. I mean, there's a few over the years, but we've never gotten an Ultimates Thor. We've gotten Captain America, and we finally got a good Ultimates Iron Man. But an Ultimate Thor would probably be nice or something like that. But
we've not got a modern Thor since 2014. So
yeah,
I say modern because that's what he was listed as, and I'm like, 10 years ago.
Well, they did one like shoot, and this is one I picked up at Ollie's because I was trying to get the build a figure out of it. They did the did Thor like become a Herald of Galactus or something like that? Or?
Yeah, and then also Galactus's arch enemy took on the form of Thor as Dark Winter.
Okay.
So there was that as well. They did both of those. I have both of those, and I'm like, they're okay. I don't hate them, but not my first run draft pick.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think. Do I have any Thors in my collection?
I have that 80th Thor, and I love it.
I think the only Thor I have is the Love and Thunder one for the MCU. That's the only one I have.
That's even though that's an MCU figure, that's a really good figure.
Yeah, that's why I got it, because I have like an MCU. Like I do build the teams, and sometimes I create my own teams, and so so he's on my MCU build team that I did. But
I really like the figure, but I did buy it because I was wanting to get Korg because I don't think they're ever going to do a comic Korg. So an MCU Korg is fine. So I bought that whole wave and just put the figure together.
Yeah. Yeah. And something else I wish they would do too is they finally gave us one of my favorite villains, the High Evolutionary, in the Fantastic Four retro card wave. And I hated how
right here in my desk.
Oh yeah.
I love
that villain.
I love him. He's one of my favorites too.
And how him and Sinister cross paths in the past and stuff like that. And but then so I got excited when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 said he was going to be in there, and they completely messed him up as a villain, just turned him into a generic, corporate villain. But
I actually like that movie, but I
like the movie, but how they did him was horrible. But I began to think now that like what's popular now are shoot these the anthropomorphic animal figures like the AWOC and the stuff that Mythic Legions does, and
I love AWOC. AWOC's a great line.
There's a couple other ones that are doing like the man animals type deal. So I would think that would be, why doesn't Hasbro capitalize on that and do the High Evolutionary's New Men?
Yeah. That would be cool.
Do Lord Tiger and Sir Ram and stuff like that to see if you can kind of tap into that market, because nobody's selling that stuff at retail. And they have the ability to sell it at that's their biggest advantage, which is why Bobby's trying to chase that price point down on his, because that's who he wants to compete against, and that's the way you do it. So, but again, it takes somebody with a little risk and innovation. But I get it too. These guys have to protect their jobs, and they see that the company is heading in a direction that doesn't even want. It's a toy company that doesn't want to make toys.
Exactly. And
anymore.
I think people are getting confused too, because people hear they're wanting to do more digital stuff and they're like, oh, well, video games is da-da-da. And it's like, no, dude, look what Monopoly Go did.
Yeah.
And that's loaded with microtransactions. It was one of their biggest money makers in the past couple of years, even though with the downturn that they're having.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see why they want to go that way. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, but if I was a corporation, I'd be like, here's a sheet. This is making more money.
Yeah.
Let's go after that. And I can understand it. They tried to do, they've really been trying to do it with D&D, and they abandoned a project with it a little while ago, a couple of months ago. It was pretty much making D&D all online, which I think would fail miserably.
That's been the thing too. I've been amazed at. Like, so I played D&D when I was younger, and then especially in my early 20s. When I was in the Marine Corps, and a bunch of us were sitting around with nothing to do, and we didn't have beer money that weekend.
Same with me in college, man.
We would do it, and then it's kind of like that. Then my kids in their early 20s got introduced to the game, and I told them about and so they don't, as their lives have gotten busier. But for a while, it was almost every weekend they were rotating through the houses for their D&D, like where they sat down with the pen and the paper, and and I was like, man, this is great. There's something there. And then I see properties like I still don't understand how Warhammer stays in business,
dude.
Unless the video games and support and all that, but they still have physical stores, and those miniatures are very expensive.
They're super expensive, and I don't know anyone. I played Warhammer Fantasy, but when it started, which has long since been discontinued, and it got turned into 40K basically. Which launched it in the future, but I don't know how that system is still alive with everything they've done and how insane it is.
But evidently they're still putting it out.
I watch a couple of channels that are I do watch a couple of channels that are highly critical of Warhammer, and the stuff I see on those channels, I'm like, yeah, okay, how are these guys still in business?
Yeah.
But
they still seem to be, I think there's still that hunger. I think there's still hunger in the game sphere.
Oh no, I'm painting miniatures right now.
Oh,
wow. That's you familiar with Song Ice and Fire?
Yeah.
That's Cold Hands riding his elk.
Okay.
Yeah, this is literally what I paint while I'm working. I'll paint while I work.
May I ask what do you do for besides YouTube? You said you work from home.
Well, that's pretty much a customer service type job.
Okay.
And I do it from home. My work computer's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the many jobs I had was customer service for an insurance company.
Yeah. This one pays well, and it works for me because I can stay home and not have to worry about transportation.
Yeah.
Long story short is that when the lockdown hit, everybody went home, and then they lost the lease on the building. And they couldn't find a building to move back into. And all of a sudden they noticed, wait a minute, we got all this overhead expense that we're not paying anymore.
Yeah.
Let's keep everybody at home. And they're like, okay. And that's what they've done.
Yeah. That's something I always thought was there's like a lot of companies that are doing this back to work. And I was like, well, if it's been working well so far, then why do you want to keep those big buildings and upgrade? And something's about just control. They don't like the fact that you could stop and take a break and run to the store whenever you want. You want to. But I'm very fortunate. My job is I'm very flexible. I'm the keeper of my own schedule. So if I got to run out in the middle of the day and hit Walmart or something, I can go do that. And as long as hit my objectives, I'm good with that. But it's just so interesting. Like I said, I always get fascinated because we have, all we do is we see each other on the YouTube and we talk about, the thing is just like, we got like, so everybody else has got other jobs we do. This is, I know everybody thinks at some point I can figure out the algorithm and I'll hit it rich and I'll just live off of super chats and memberships and ad revenue.
Not with toys.
Yeah.
That is a niche of a niche audience right there.
Yeah. But it's
the
fun.
biggest guy I know of is, I think World Class BSers is the biggest ones.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I think I used to watch a little bit of them, but there's like a few other things I used to watch. a lot, and
You
it
know,
was
Jeff's
just
one of the nicest guys ever.
yeah,
I, I actually approached him because I said, Jeff, would you mind if I do a parody video of your Ollie's videos?
yeah,
And he's like, yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's going to be very self-aware and that it's a parody of your video and it's going to actually acknowledge it in the middle of the video.
yeah.
Yeah. But I found this music and I was like, oh, I need to do this at my Ollie's. And then showed the worst Walmart in the world where I live.
Yeah. I tell you, I kind of fell into this whole thing that through I so I one day I came across a retro blasting video and it was a restoration video.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And then started following that channel, and then a lot of the other stuff they put out and the background and history stuff that he does, and I think Michael French gets a lot of unfair criticism.
I do too.
Because I don't think people understand him, that he just doesn't flip on the camera and
right,
because he doesn't like see something on YouTube and then flip on the camera and immediately responds to it. That his criticisms or whatever you want to call it or praise, he takes a lot of time to think through these things and puts a lot of work into it. And the people that respond to him, they don't put nearly the amount of thought into their response to this, and to some. And
I think one of the best examples of that,
I think he gets offended because it's like, I put all this work and you just come in and crap on work without.
I think one of the best examples of that was he did a recent video on the Batcave. And he made a joke out of being able to walk through the doorway and be in the penguins' hideout, right?
Yeah.
And it was obviously a joke. It was very funny. And like people gave him hell over that. It was like, it's just a toy, Michael. And, and it's like, dude, it's a joke. And it's actually a very funny joke. I laughed.
Yeah.
I laughed hysterically at that joke.
But from him,
yeah, he does get a lot of shit he doesn't deserve. I mean, that was obviously a joke. It was so obviously just a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's another one I'd love to sit down and just have a conversation with.
Yeah, I message him now and again, and I'm just like, dude, you did a good video. Thank you.
Yeah. And then through him, I found Analog Toys with Tony. And yeah, he's a veteran. He's got that combination, dry British humor, dry military humor. So I respond well to that. It's about vintage toys and stuff like that. And then from there, he started talking about this upcoming line called Action Force. And so I started following that nonsense, which got me hooked into it. And from there, that led me to the 3POA. I got to watch out that, and then from there, it introduced me to all you wonderful people that now you have an opportunity to chat with. So this was never my plan to do all this. I just kind of fell into it.
A similar path, but it was a little bit roundabout. It was like, there's this guy who lives in Tennessee where I live in Kentucky. He lives in Tennessee. So I sometimes watch his hunt videos just to see what may be showing up at my Walmart,
Okay.
And he went to Jolanta, and it was the first Jolanta Bobby appeared at. And I saw Action Force. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's Action Force, but that's not the Action Force I know. What's going on here? And, I was looking into it. I'd found Articulated Ninja by that point.
Yeah.
And he did his excellent video on the Engine of Greed.
Oh, yeah.
And he cited 3POA in that. And, Bobby had that take you to school moment where it was like, why is this not worth as much as this, as the Sentinel and stuff? And that's where I found 3POA. So it's kind of roundabout same way, but it was like I was looking at Action Force and then discovered 3POA at the same time.
So had you already started doing videos before that, or is that when you started?
Well, I started out doing videos on gaming. I was doing D&D and some miniature war games, and I just started adding in my action figure videos in the middle of it.
Okay.
And it was really just, okay, this is what I bought. you know. And why did I buy it? I just like, you know, I bought a Hulk Hogan figure because I like Hulk Hogan. I bought, yeah. Oh, I ran into Jeff Hardy, and oh, they did Storm Shadow and G.I. Joe Classified. I love Storm Shadow, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then what happened was a lot of the gaming. I didn't go as deep into Dungeons and Dragons as I wanted to, and
Okay.
I've debated going back to that because I really wanted to just kind of look at some games, some of the modules that D&D did, just some of my favorites and why. But also the wargaming was primarily through a company called Simon, and they went under, but they were doing some BS before that. They were really raising prices. They were almost double. And when they started doubling prices, I'm like, no, this is Warhammer all over again, you know. And so I kind of backed away from them a little bit and just quit putting them on my channel. And then it kind of just evolved into, well, looks like I'm collecting action figures again. So, you know, I mean, not that I ever stopped, but it's looked like, okay, this is what I'm making my channel focus. And then I was like, I want my Marvel Legends collection back that I sold in 2016, which was mostly Toy Biz and a few of the Hasbros. And that kind of became the focus of the channel. Was first Marvel Legends, then Action Force, a little bit of Classified, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and just some various other lines. Wrestling got into that too.
Yeah. So I kind of had like a YouTube channel for years and really didn't do a whole lot. I'd figured out how to connect the PlayStation to it, and I would do little videos of like World of Tanks battles and Battlefield videos.
What's funny too is my YouTube channel is actually a work channel. It was from a job I had.
Oh,
but I set it up under my email, and I was working for a TV station. It would just feature clips from the TV.
Yeah.
And so I had been sitting on it for years. I just hadn't done anything with it. And I was just like, well, let me take these TV clips off. What do I do now? Let me throw some of this crap on here.
Yeah. Well, what got me really using my channel was when YouTube came out with shorts. Because I kind of always wanted to do that where I would like review a figure and stuff like that. But by the time I either found the figure or had the money to buy the figure, because I like having lights and rent and that kind of stuff taken care of and gas. That people already had it. This is before I learned about the Shills. How these people were getting these figures way before everybody else was. That basically everything that could be said about the figure was already said. So I just started doing shorts, 30 seconds of here's the figure. I got it today. Here's what I like about it. Here's what I don't like about it. And, be gone. And those got, pretty good views. And then, after that one night where Laser Pants did the after show and he put the StreamYard link up and I was on that one. And I kind of realized how a little bit easier how to do this. I started doing some more long form videos, but they're more, documentary style where I had a few where I told like how my first and second meeting with Larry Halma, how I met him and my trip to Hasbro headquarters, that took, way back then, and the disappointment in that, and then the and then like my review of the Hasbro's the first 13 Iron Man model figures, the Mark 1 through. So long form content. I got some things I'm planning in the future with that, but it all started with shorts where I could take my phone and do a 30-second. Here's what I got today, and I like it. I don't like this about it, and stuff like that. So I guess a lot of it is just a learning curve and realizing how easy it is just to get content out there, even though it's not like, I don't have the time to, I need to teach myself editing and building, stuff like that. It's just a skill set I haven't had to learn, but now that I've kind of, gotten used to just getting a video, getting it posted on YouTube and putting a thumbnail on it, okay, now I'm ready to learn a little bit more and evolve it. So
yeah, that's funny. It's because I've done editing professionally, and it's like I'm kind of the opposite. It's like, how can I do this without editing?
Yeah. Oh,
And
I'm
then
a
I put
one.
it up, and I feel bad about it because I'm like, oh, that was lazy.
I've deleted many a video because I stumbled over my words or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and I'm a Stanley Kubrick one take. Well, no, he was multiple. He was famous for multiple takes, but I'm a one take, a one take
Yeah, I was
pony.
gonna say
That's the yeah.
Kubrick did a lot of takes. A
Yeah,
lot of takes.
I can remember there's a director that he was famous for just doing one take. He's like, all right, and we're moving.
Ed Wood.
Yeah, Ed Wood. Yeah,
Ed Wood.
and actually that fits me a lot better.
But there's a charm to Ed Wood, so it's like,
Yeah,
you know, you knocked over the
yeah,
the headstone that was
yeah.
made of wood. It's like nobody will notice.
It's a stormtrooper bonking his head on the bottom of the door because it didn't go
Yeah.
fast enough. Type of deal. So
I
that's
mean,
kind of how.
stuff like that always gets through. I mean, because no matter how good you are, you're gonna miss stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's life. But
yeah,
and stuff like that now is fun to look at.
yeah.
But it doesn't ruin the movie.
Well, that's like I said. People comment they like how I'm doing stuff now, but I know I can do better.
Yeah.
So I want to, if to the extent of my skill set, I want to try to improve what I'm doing. Instead of just relying on past successes, which is that's full circle back to companies like Hasbro and Mattel and all of them. That's why they're stuck in this loop, is that they just keep going back to what worked before, not understanding
Yeah.
why it worked before, and
some of that loop
afraid to try something new.
And some of that loop has worked for me because eventually I got the Spider-Man figure I wanted, which was the retro carded animated one. I didn't buy the maximum one because I was like, this one right here that I found in my Walmart that was just sitting by itself on a display that people were going crazy over and spending like $50 on eBay at the time. Yeah. I was like, oh, there he is. Oh, there's two of them. I'll leave one for somebody else and I will take mine.
Yeah.
And I got mine and brought him home, put him up on my desk right here, and that's where he's been ever since. And
I have a lot of Spider-Man figures, but I don't have a classic Spider-Man.
Define classic. Are you talking like the Amazing Fantasy one?
Yeah, like the regular red and blue suit. Like I got like the his first armored suit, and then they finally did the Spider-Man Unlimited. I've got that, which I like. I like that show. Yeah, that's the one. So it's like these variations. The closest I have
I love that armored suit. It's just a weird thing.
Oh yeah, and the closest I have to a classic version of Spider-Man is the Cyborg Spider-Man.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and I got him because I love that one because I was also
like that
when,
one.
When I was reading a lot of comics in the 90s, and I got him, and I immediately took him and posed him back to back with the Deathlock figure to recreate that cover, that iconic cover. And then the Iron Spider, the crimson and gold. I love that version of him. Mm-hmm. I had the 2099, but I sold that one off. But it's like I just can't. I don't see a lot of. By the time it hits a shelf somewhere, it's gone. So I don't see it in secondaries. They have that so much, and I just don't think I've been able to find one that I really liked as this is the classic suit Spider-Man that I want to hang on to forever, because I don't want to buy 12 variations of the classic suit. I've got other variations of Spider-Man that I can buy instead.
I have 3 variations of the classic suit. I've got the Amazing Fantasy one. Mm-hmm. I've got that one, and I've got the Renew Your Vows, and that one's my favorite. I just think it's like kind of lean, but but looks strong. Yeah. And the thing about Renew Your Vows is I think he looks a little too jacked.
Okay.
But he's supposed to be an older Spider-Man, so I can kind of accept that he would probably be a little more jacked at that point.
He's actually a man now, not a boy calling himself Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I don't like a whole lot of I want a good black costume. I want a good classic costume. That armor is kind of icing on the
Yeah.
cake. You know, what Spider-Mans I get is like, okay, I have a lot more Spider-Mans than I said I would get, but at the same time, and the same thing with Wolverine. I did the same thing with Wolverine.
Yeah.
But it's like the ones I've got, I really, really like, and I'm like, want to keep it kind of in that vein.
Yeah, we'll catch you later, Stu.
See you, Stu.
But yeah, and like Wolverine is another one. I've kind of like, you see back on my shoulder on that shelf with like the little boxes. That's all my Marvel Legends.
Okay.
These little like pencil boxes.
Right.
And so, and again, I'm a team builder kind of guy. I stopped. I got off the wave train, but I wanted to build like certain teams or my version of the team if I couldn't, because Marvel's has got this thing about not letting you finish a team. Like,
right.
I was a big fan of you.
That's a good point, because I wanted to be a comic writer at one point.
Yeah, so did I.
And I had my own Avengers, my own X-Men, my own X-Force, my own versions of each of those teams. And it was like, I've been trying to build my versions of those teams.
Yeah. Or the definitive version of that team as it appeared, like the like for the X-Men, there's been so many different versions of the X-Men team that I'm trying to recreate the version that I was introduced to, which was the Outback era. That's when I started reading X-Men. So I specifically looked for a Wolverine that fits that in that era, and I've got one for that. And then of course I had to then I've got the Dazzler, and then they did the Long Shot, and then they released the Rogue.
Yep.
They did the Rogue in her green and black outfit from that that time period. So I've got all of those, and then I have a Storm that's kind of works in there because she was always Storm. She was constantly changing her look during that period of time too, where she went from mohawk to long hair to different outfits. So I found, okay, this is the one there. This will be my Storm for that. And the only thing I lack is a shirtless Colossus. Because that was, when
they've never made that one.
Yeah, and that was during the time where he was stuck in his skin, and I got excited when they announced that 2-pack of Wolverine and Psylocke in armor, because I thought that was going to be the armored Psylocke from that era.
Yeah, no,
X-Men was kind of the pink nine, but it was the Revanche, so it was like So that's all I need to complete that. And I know then another team was the New Warriors.
Oh God.
I like the original New Warriors. And finally, we get to the point where, okay, they said, okay, we're going to have Namorita in this wave. And it's like, okay, I got the Justice.
Namorita.
And it's like, why are you giving us this is not the one we want? It's like, okay. So, but by the time they put them out, they need to update the bodies for the old stuff.
It's like if they ever finish the original Thunderbolts or Guardians of the Galaxy, they're gonna have to start over.
That's the thing, is I'm getting ready to clear out some of my Legends, and I've got the Citizen V.
Yeah, that's a great example.
The Mach 1, which is a great figure, and then Songbird. And there's been nothing since then. I mean, they've done a Meteorite, but not that Thunderbolts costume. It's just like, I don't think we're ever going to get it.
Moonstone?
Huh? Yeah, Moonstone.
Yeah. No, that outfits Moonstone to me. Sorry.
But the one that she used for the Thunderbolts was the So I just know as soon as I get rid of those three figures, they're going to start putting out the rest of the team.
Exactly.
That's why I'm doing that. But then, so that's for my X-Men team I'm trying to build. And then the Reavers, I wanted to put them together because I wanted a bad guy faction. So I got pretty much everything they put out for the Reavers now. And then I wanted I like the black suit X-Force folks. So I got the Wolverine in that first X-23 they did. I like that better than the new X-23 they did with the Warpath. But then that was the hostage pack for me was X-23 I didn't want and the Warpath that I wanted. And so I found somebody that wanted the X-23, but they did want the Warpath. So I bought that off of them. And then the Archangel they put out.
Weird thing about Warpath, I always kind of preferred Thunderbird to Warpath.
Yeah.
Because they're cousins. I thought they were just the same character. I mean, they're redone. It's not that I hate Warpath or anything. It's just I was like, okay, you're a carbon copy of Thunderbird, and if you're going, I'm going to go with the original. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I do have a Warpath, but I did get the Storm and Thunderbird 2-pack when it was like around the $30 range when it was on clearance before it was on X-Men 97 and went gangbusters through the roof. So,
well, and that was like like Nightcrawler is a figure. Every time I buy him, I like the figure, but I would always sell him for some reason. And now if I got the X-Force Nightcrawler, and I really like that one, and then I got the X-Force Archangel.
I like that figure, but I want his classic look. I went with the X-Men 97 one because I don't want to pay that much for the I forget what wave it was in. Was it Apocalypse?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but I prefer that one. But at the same time, I was like going, that's a bit much. I think it's like $40-$50.
Yeah. Well, my favorite all-time Nightcrawler is, if you remember the Toy Biz line they did of X-Men figures, where there was kind of they kind of geared them up, and this was the first one. So he had like actual he had like the two swords, and they had scabbards for the swords, and he had a light up feature that you press on his back and his mouth lit up and his eyes lit up for like the teleporting thing. I always liked that one, but it's just so I team build now. That's what I try to do. So for Wolverine, it took me a while to find the good one. Huh?
I did spend $50 for this guy, and I don't mind.
Yeah,
because he normally goes for 70 at this point.
Well, and that's one like when he first came out with Sauron. It's kind of like one of those things. Well, how long did it take him to do any more Savage Land figures?
Yeah, and on top of that, I don't know if you saw LP open that pack.
No.
Yeah, I did not like what the results of the two women. To be perfectly honest, I made a comment. Was like, they suck in ways you don't want women to suck.
But didn't they do? So I got kind of confused. So didn't they do so that the pack that everybody's getting with the Shanna and the Rogue and the Sauron is for they tied it into the Marvel Snap game, right?
Yeah, that was that card game they did a while back.
But didn't they introduce the Savage Land Rogue and Sauron in another pack before that, or
no? That's the first Savage Land Rogue.
Okay, maybe that was kind of one of the trickle out reveal.
Yeah,
but then again, it's kind of like who. You did Kazar and the Zabu build a figure.
Yep.
And then you hold Shannon in a hostage pack again,
right?
With that, and now you're giving us Rogue and Sauron. It's like, are you going to give us, are you going to give us the Savage Land Magneto? Because that's where that Rogue ties into. Yeah, that was the and then and Zeldane, that was that whole arc. The whole arc dealt with that, and that was
Zeldane. I mean, that was I haven't thought about Zeldane in a decade.
And then also because that was after the Outback era, when they all went through the Siege Perilous trying to escape the Reavers, and so she ends up Savage Land, and she couldn't fly and didn't have invulnerability anymore because the Carol Danvers got separated from her.
Yeah, that's when she fought the weird zombie Carol Danvers.
Will they do the zombie Ms. Marvel that goes with that?
Ooh, I almost would want the zombie Miss Marvel more than I would want the Savage Land Rogue.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea.
But it's just the weird things the weird threads they pull on. But go back, like I said, so I have my what I feel is my definitive Wolverine for the Outback era, and that X-Force Wolverine is great. I think, through that, I would love for them to do a Weapon X Team Wolverine in the black suit with the yellow. Just take a shield body and gear and just paint it black and yellow and pop the
Oh,
Wolverine head and claws on it, and then do the rest
yeah,
of
I'm
Team
trying.
X, Sabretooth and Sabretooth and
I got to be honest. I'm trying to
so
avoid Wolverines, but I might be tempted by that one.
yeah. I mean,
I've got
put it in.
so many Wolverines right now.
Yeah. I mean, they could put it into a 5-pack, with and basically use the same body or just use different size bodies with the gear on it, but just paint them
Right.
all black, black suited bodies with yellow bandoliers and pouches, and you slap a Sabretooth head on one and a Wolverine head on one, and come up with a fun. So you can do like who else is it? Maverick, pop his head back on one,
Right.
and do that whole Team X thing, which they did it. They did the Team X Wolverine and Toy Biz, the original Toy Biz, the 4-5
Yes, they
inch
did.
line, and featured him in the cartoon and stuff like that, the X-Men '97 stuff. So there's just so much they could do, even with reuse. Like I said, I don't mind reuse as long as you're creative. You're creative with it.
Yeah, it's like I again pointing at Action Force. I pointed out with Wave 3, the women wave.
Yeah,
that there is like, I think it was Pandora and Eclipse, and you look at them, and if it's pointed out to you, you can see that he used the same lower torsos or lower bodies for both figures. But if you just set them if you set them like a little bit apart, you wouldn't think it. And it was all in the paint.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we get that you have to do reuse. It's expensive and it's all that stuff. It's just when you,
especially when you're a smaller company.
But I said, don't charge me more money for the same figure I bought before.
Right.
Don't make me spend $80 for the Extremist Iron Man just because he does with a Mandarin figure.
Hey, look, I got a lot.
After I already bought the stupid thing, so it's kind of.
I get a lot of heat for this one too, but one of my complaints about Monster Force was like, I don't mind the reuse. I mind that there are 4 repaints of the army builders in the first wave.
Yeah.
Spread that shit out over a year, 2 years, I'm good.
Yeah.
But you do that in your first wave, that bugs me. Because you're making me buy the same figure 4 times over in the same wave.
Or like the folks that are running Mask, where they have a couple of the vehicles out, but they are focused on giving us repaints of the same vehicles instead of giving us
the black and gold
other vehicles that we want.
I don't understand to save my life. It's like, what the hell? And I know some people are lapping this up, but I don't think it's as many people as we think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be one explanation to their high prices, is their MRQ is not quite as high. Because how are they selling out? Because I see a lot of people complaining about those prices.
Well, and I'm very price conscious too. And a lot of people, those that are conscious about price, they like to, and every hobby has this, where there's those that feel like just because I'm paying a lot of money for something, it's of high quality and value. And if you're complaining about the price, then you're part of the poors. It's like, so I can buy anything I want. It's just, is that the best use of my money? So like, for the first time ever, I bought a NECA figure, and it's the Ronin figure.
Oh, cool.
And the only reason I bought it is when I just got through finished reading the story. I know it's been out for years, but I just got through finished reading it. And I loved how, again, this was a textbook if you wanted to update a property while hanging on to the nostalgia factor, but advancing the story to a logical end. They did that with The Last Ronin. And now I'm hooked onto the second book. Now that there's no more of these guys anymore, and they got this new generation of turtles, that I'm like, this is the way you advance your brand and advance your story. And I never bought a NECA because I heard about all the problems in the past and all this stuff. But I bought it, but I bought it because Big Bad Toy Store had it on sale for $28.
Oh, did they have it that low?
Wow, and that was a price I was willing to take a chance on a new brand, because I don't have any turtle figures. at all. And
Mhm.
it seems like everybody that's got a toy company has a turtle license now. So, and probably one of the things I want to watch it is they start releasing the next generation of turtles. I may get those as well because I'm liking the story and I'm liking that. So price is a motivator to get me to, but then on the flip side, I've got a pre-order on the ramen tank, which is a lot of money on something. But what I've seen of that,
Right.
and I really like that. My only thing was I didn't. If I had the money, I would have bought the other stuff that goes with it to do the bridge layer and the Wolverine and stuff like that. And I did the math, and it's actually, if I did buy all that, it was still cheaper than the HasLab Rattler.
Probably.
It was. I figured it out. I had the ability to build 3 different vehicles out of.
Hey, I like Ace. I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah.
But I do look at his stuff and I'm like, I bought the Vanguard. I bought a second Vanguard. I know I'm going to buy the Locust.
Yeah.
Past that on 1/12 scale vehicles, I'm not sure I'm going to go any further.
Well, it's
I had
kind
a
of
little trouble with the. I bought the second Vanguard when Bobby had that bundle for
Yeah. That's how I got my
150.
second one.
Yeah, that was good. And I just said, okay, I kind of wanted the desert. I'm going to buy the desert, and then it's sitting right here because I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't have the space for it yet. I bought it, and I'm like, crap.
Yeah, the first Vanguard was like one of the things that I hadn't pre-ordered anything. I don't like pre-ordering. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like to, if I give you my money, I want my product.
Yeah, I'm cutting back on pre-ordering.
Not just a promise to get a product sometime in the future, but I did that. I pre-ordered the Vanguard.
Yeah,
I got the gray one because that's what I wanted. I live in Florida. Desert does nothing for me, which is why I'm glad he's switching to a more nautical theme because I'm all over the Maritime Troopers and I'm all over the black when it comes in. And then when he did the bundles, the mystery box bundle with the Vanguard, I was hoping for a gray one, and I didn't want a muddy one or anything. And the second one was a gray one. And so then when the haul came out, I bought one for one of them, and I'm probably buy a second one just to have some extra pieces if I want to do the second one up. And I was like, okay, I'm cool on vehicles. The Locust, I'll get that. But now, but that ramen tank is like, when I saw that, I was like, hey, this is okay. I want this. I like vehicles. It's just like the second thing I've ever had to pre-order in my life. And then Bobby turns around and he drops the price on the Vanguards. It's like, go on. But my big complaint is that is like, Bobby needs to make figures and release them faster. Otherwise, my money goes other places instead of to, if he's not putting out product for me to buy, then I go shopping elsewhere. So so I'm looking forward to the new stuff coming out.
I only try to pre-order things that I really, really want, like that Rachel Summers Phoenix.
Oh,
that is a must-have for me.
Yeah.
I loved Excalibur. She was one of my favorite characters from it, and she is the only character I don't have from that team in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah,
I will probably pre-order her just to lock it in, just to have it there. Yeah. I mean, I did the same thing with Death Head, and Death's Head was not hard to get.
Yeah,
but I did lock it in just because I'm a huge Death's Head fan.
Yep.
And the one that we thought was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, but turned out not to be, which was weird to me.
Yeah.
But I got him, and boom, once I had him in my collection, I was like, calmness.
Yeah. I bought the Death's Head 2 a long time ago, and I was like, why don't they do the Death's Head? And then I realized because of the whole Marvel UK, Transformers.
Yeah, there was a weird copyright thing.
But I got real excited when they put that one out because I like that because it's like it scales with the Transformers or your Marvel figures, depending on how you look at it. And but that Rachel Summers, I forgot about Rachel Summers. That's one I've wanted for a while because I like the Excalibur too, but they could take that same body, that Rachel Summers body, and repaint it with some different colors and put out an Ahab figure.
Yep.
And they could do it. They could do a hostage pack with that and have Ahab and his hounds.
Right.
You know, that's, you know, come on. Why is it so easy for us to think of this stuff? And you know,
Yeah.
seem to.
But like, you know, again, felt the same way about that Punisher pack. I got that. Felt better. Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Legion of Doom from WCW and WWF.
Was that the Punisher pack with the Bushwhacker?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that ticked me off because when they announced that one, because I liked Bushwhacker, the figure in the comics, but when I saw, but his arm actually looked like a gun molded of flesh. In the comics, you know, you would actually have to load magazines into his arm, but for them to go with that whatever arm, because I guess they didn't want guns or something like that. That was just like,
I remember that style from a storyline, and I can't remember the name of the storyline, but it was a Daredevil storyline. And it was, Bushwhacker, it did the exact same thing. I think Random had appeared in X Factor at that point.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of copying that style.
Okay.
So, and I can't remember. I know it was after 300 of Daredevil, because I was a huge Daredevil fan. When I saw it originally, I was like, oh yeah, I recognize it. I can't tell you what issue it is, but I recognize it. You know, it's a particular art style that I'm of somebody. But I was more interested in the Punisher anyway. You know, I would just throw the Bushwhacker in Daredevil, not worry about it.
It kind of, I want to say it's like John Romita Jr. was doing that art style, because
I think it was right before
his run on X-Men. Everything was
right
blocky.
After him.
It was blocky, and it was like a lot of incomplete lines, like like stacked on each other and stuff like that. Because he did a lot of that with the Acolytes. Yeah. Which we should have gotten at X-Men.
What I remember most about John Romita in Daredevil was he drew Mephisto totally different than I mean, Mephisto looked like the Blackheart figure we just got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas John Romita, then Romita Jr., his son, who came out.
It might have been Junior.
He started in the he was part of the whole 90s.
It might have been Junior, but I remember Mephisto made an appearance in Daredevil, and it was like, wow, that's just Blackheart, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah. And I do remember that very vividly.
Yeah, it's his art, because they pulled John Romita Jr. in after the Image Exodus, and because a lot of his artwork kind of always felt unfinished, to me, especially on that X-Men run. Yeah,
he was our first Nepo baby.
Yeah, I mean, he got better. He got a little bit better over time, but just at the beginning, it was like. But in the end, that was Marvel was trying to de-emphasize the art after everybody leaving like that.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I really like the more modern Secret Wars of 2015, 2015 or 16 Secret War, where Doom actually kind of saves the universe, but he's a tyrant. I like that story, but I hate the art in it. It's like, I look at it and it's like, that was the thing. One of my earliest memories of art in a comic book was Burn, very early Burn. Yeah. And it was a picture of Marvel 2-in-1, Thing and Deathlock. Deathlock is hiding around a corner, waiting for Thing to come around the corner. And it's like, Thing is, Deathlock is in total black, and Thing has this like super detailed freaking wall around him in the background. Love that picture. I have it. It's somewhere. But, Thing's just scrolling, and then he gets attacked by Deathlock. But love that art just because it's like hyper detailed, and it made me notice that the backgrounds are a thing that makes an artist.
Yeah.
And like, I noticed that, the best art from McFarlane, his backgrounds are freaking great. Ditko, his backgrounds, wow. And it's like, it really made me notice things like that. And the thing I notice now with modern art is like, no detail. We're just going to do a little illumination and be done with it.
Well, something I picked up is I've been going back and trying to find some things, and I've still got to find the other 2 issues of it. It was the comics crossover that killed Valiant and Image. And it was all
Oh,
Image's
Deathmate.
fault. Yeah.
Deathmate.
And it was
I
and it was
remember
all
Deathmate.
and it was all Image's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had a company run by Jim Shooter, who his thing was that books have to come out on time.
Yep.
And the hippies at Marvel hated that when he was running things, because they wanted to. And then you had the inmates running the asylum over at Image, where all these artists were taking their sweet time because they were trying, they couldn't just leave it well enough alone. It had to be, overdrawn and perfect and stuff like that. And it was shortly after this, it was the Image books that were late. The Valiant books came out on time. And these Image was like months late coming out, that killed the whole thing.
Although I argue, not that I ever argued Jim Shooter was the be all end all. I argue what killed Valiant was letting go of Shooter, because at least he had a direction and a vision. And when they let him go, that went out the window.
Yeah, that's what killed Valiant. Yeah, but that was, but the death knell started with Deathmate. That was weird.
I think Deathmate was a big misstep, and it did contribute to the downfall. But yeah, it was like, I think you could have replaced Shooter with somebody who had a vision.
Yeah.
And it would have come out all right on the other side. It's like, but God,
well,
I remember
too.
My feeling after that
Image. That's when the Image started splintering, and it basically, Jim Lee took his Wildstorm and started his own, made it independent from Image and started distributing through DC. And Silvestri did the same thing with Top Cow. And then, Todd and Morrison were left holding the bag because they, Liefeld had been, kicked out a long time ago.
Yeah, and they were waiting on Kurtman to come save them.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what the state of Image is right now.
I see. So I stopped collecting comics. I would go to Ollie's and pick up trade paperbacks of stuff, because because there was a lot of the classic stuff. And then when they announced the Energon universe, I actually went back into a comic book shop.
That's Kirkman as well.
Yeah, and that was because my kids introduced me to the Invincible cartoon.
Yep.
And I was like, and it wasn't so much the violence is gratuitous in it, but the story is there. It was a classic story. I
mean, and the other thing is about the violence. I mean, I get it being gratuitous, but at the same time, I don't think it's very gratuitous. I'm thinking you're talking about gods versus people.
Yeah, it's probably more what realistic, if these folks exist, it would be. But there was a time in like the 90s and then early odds that just over the top violence was the only. There wasn't a whole lot of story. It was just
right
over the top to be over the top. But with this, there was that story underneath that I really liked.
Invincible is. I really like Invincible. I've never actually read the full story. I know significant chunks of it. And I know what's about to happen in the series, even though I'm sure they're going to alter it a little bit. But it's very, very cool. I really like it. And it's one of those stories I like. I need to get the full story. I've got like I said, big chunks of the story, but I need to get the full.
It tells the story, I think, better than The Boys does, which I've watched that show. I've never read the comics, but I get a sense it's kind of thing. But a lot of that is shock just to be shocking.
That's the thing about The Boys is like there's a lot in there that is in the comics that is really good.
Yeah,
there's a lot in the comics that is really bad, and there's a lot bad in The Boys TV show that is really bad. Some of it has a point and some of it does not. And it's like, it's really season 4 really exposed some cracks in that series.
Yeah. Well, to me, it feels like in The Boys, the quote unquote good guys are just as bad as the heroes.
Ultimately, that is the point.
I mean, Mother's Milk tries to moderate them, but it's
Right.
But then with Invincible, you've got this guy who was the hero, and it turns out he's been lying to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But his son is trying to make up for that, type of deal. And then you don't leave the dad as the bad guy. I mean, he's going through his own journey of self discovery.
Yeah.
To
No,
so
it's really good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for redemption stories anyway.
Right.
Like that's why Booster Gold is one of my favorite DC Comics characters.
You're speaking my language right now,
when he went through this whole thing, where somebody, that like he was a joke character and all that stuff, but then when they put that thread in there that he came back in time to be a hero to make money, but he actually has that maybe I could actually be a hero, type of deal, and then goes to that whole thing where he gets a chance to be the hero that nobody would remember.
Right.
That's where which was opposite what he had planned out. So it's stuff like that I like. I mean, the occasional villain becoming the hero is okay, but it's just this, it's this idea of heroics that I really like, and I think this sort of resonates. But then, like I said, with the Energon universe, though, with Kirkman, that's Skybound, but it's Skybound, but it's distributed by Image. So Image has now become what it once stood against. It's now just a distributor for everybody else's work. Again, that I tell, if you read the Transformers and the G.I. Joe, I said this is the way that you take a property and modernize it and move it forward, and you don't do it by crapping on everything that came before. Is you found, like I said, that I find the concept of Cobra Law ridiculous and always have, but they did this in such a way that I'm like, okay, I buy into this now. This makes sense to me. And then how everything came together with that kind of stuff, and it's just in their refusal to start off with the popular characters. Like, of course, Duke, you got to start off with Duke, and you got to start off with Optimus Prime, but they waited almost 20 issues to bring Megatron in. They killed Bumblebee in the first issue. That's nice. We've still not, spoiler work, sorry. We still haven't seen anything about Snake Eyes anywhere. No mention. I mean, the closest things we got is we had Storm Shadow and the Rashikage in the Scarlet miniseries, which was the weakest of the miniseries. But
I'm just gathering.
So you take it and you move the story forward in a way that's this whole idea of folks constantly wanting to take these properties and put a new spin on it, or do something where you basically just want to take because it's inconvenient to try to paint within the line sometimes, of what's been established before, you just ignore it and just go, which has been my biggest thing with Star Trek lately, is that inability to constantly want to go back to before the other stuff started so they can change everything to fit, because they're too lazy to come up with a new way to do things. So
exactly.
It's
there have been some. I've not watched everything yet, by the way. I've not watched Strange New Worlds at all, by the way.
I watched the first season when it was free, because every once in a while Paramount Plus, their YouTube channel, will dump a season on their channel for free.
Okay.
Because I need to watch the first season. I don't need the 12th streaming service in my house. And that's the other thing that's killing television and properties.
Oh no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I do agree. It's just been like so much. Like, come on, give us something new, man. Go forward instead of back.
But I kind of like Lower Decks, because that was something that it takes place in the midst of everything we know, and it does a lot of references to stuff, but it makes fun of some of these absurd things about the show. You just got to suspend your disbelief. But you can tell the people, whoever writes for this show, actually loves the property. and they're not
I
doing
saw
it
the
to
first
tear it
season of
down.
it, and I do agree that yeah, it was a good parody
You know,
that made sense.
they don't do stuff like, well, we're just going to hire writers that have never seen this thing before and have know nothing about it. Like
Right.
there's like over in DC, they did that. There's a Red Hood series that's coming out, and the new author probably proclaims, "I know nothing about Jason Todd or anything that's come before." That's my
That ain't
sell.
so
That's
bad
my,
if you do your research, though. I mean, if you do
they're-
your research and
they,
say,
they
"Oh, I got something compelling to say about this,"
well, they didn't even do the research. I know nothing about it. I'm just going
yeah,
to write
no.
my story
When you
here.
brag, you know nothing about it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And that's where
Dude.
Marvel had problems with their movies when you start hiring directors that knew nothing about
Oh yeah,
the
Dude.
stuff. It's
I don't mean to cut it short, but I
yeah.
have to get up early in the morning. I have to get up at 5 in the morning to take care of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got an early day tomorrow too. Usually, like I said, I try to stick to an hour, but sometimes it rolls. Like when I did Canon, that went on for like 3 hours. I did not plan that. That's what
I saw that and I was like, no, I
yeah.
can't do that.
But yeah,
But I
so
saw the rest of them. I was like, okay, an hour.
but
Yeah.
again, I appreciate it. Do you got anything that's coming up or
I'm
anything
trying
in
to
the
work
pot?
on my first fully scripted video.
Okay.
It's going to be a comparison to MCU John Walker versus comic John Walker, to which my main part of the thesis is going to be you had 4 movies to deal with Winter Soldier to Bucky Barnes, and it's almost twice the material that deals with John Walker, and you try to deal with it as a subplot to a Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now.
And U.S. Agent is another one of my favorite characters.
I like U.S. Agent overall. He has some moments, and his moment of his downturn moment is perfectly understandable in the context it's presented in the comics.
Yeah.
I don't think they did a good job in the MCU with it.
Well, in the comics, I was explaining to my kids that he was already introduced as a character that he already had powers through Power Broker as another character. Then they make him Captain America because they fired the other one, Captain America, and then Cap gives him his old costume. The black costume was Cap's costume, and they invite him on the Avengers. But then they constantly crap all over him because he's not Captain America.
Well, you're also leaving out the part where he had a nervous breakdown because his parents got killed.
Yeah,
and the whole time it was the Red Skull messing with him.
Yeah, but you keep him on the Avengers and you let him be part of like the premier, your premier. Even when he was on the West Coast Avengers, the premier superhero team in the United States, and it's like, but then you crap on him all the time. So the only thing I liked about the Disney Plus is them tying into him being a soldier that did everything that was asked of him, and he was brave, and he didn't ask to be Captain America. They gave him the shield, and then everybody crapped on him because he wasn't. See, Roger, he didn't even have superpowers, so he takes the serum, the counterfeit serum, to get it, and everybody like, why'd you do that? And he's like, what do you want me to do? So
yeah, what do you want me to do?
So I look forward to that because I'm a real big John Walker fan, and for that Falcon one. They shouldn't have done that one. They should have. I would have watched a show if Bucky had taken on the Nomad moniker and was all about him going around with his list, righting the wrongs that he did around. I think that would have been a more compelling show.
I've not watched Thunderbolts yet, but one of the things I heard is the big problem is that in the middle of it, Bucky's like, "I'm okay." It's like he had that big long. What happened to your list, dude?
He's like in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
In Thunderbolts. Like, what the?
Yeah.
How the hell that happened?
Exactly. It's like
you're a brainwashed Soviet traitor.
I'm so confused by that. But anyway.
All right.
Yeah. So dude, take care.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Appreciate you coming on anytime. So did everybody thank you guys on the replay? See you guys on the replay. I hope you enjoy this as well. I'll be back next month. I have no idea who my guest is. But I have 3 weeks to figure that out. So I'll let you guys know. And so, and that y'all have a good evening and have a good night. And there it goes. I got to hit the button 4 times before it